everyone, my name is Kristyn Slick with Mealtime Memories, a Classroom Kitchen, and today we're going to be exploring plant-based eating. A lot of people are intimidated by this lifestyle, but it really is just about elevating your eating and trying some new things and new flavors. So what does plant-based eating really look like? First of all, it's a lifestyle that focuses on fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, oil, whole grains, beans, and other legumes. Plant-based eating does not mean you are vegetarian or vegan and never eat meat, cheese, or animal products. But do you worry about missing your favorite meat dishes, feeling full, and getting bored with eating nothing but salads? I think I'm speaking for a lot of you when you hear that plant-based eating terminology. These concerns, though, are unfounded, especially with the 3 recipes we're going to explore today. A plant-based eating means is making plants the focus of your meals, with the option to add small amounts of meat and dairy if you want them. Today I'm going to show you how to try more veggie-centric meals at home. Now, eating meat is more fulfilling and satisfying, and it tastes good. But eating a variety of foods such as veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, pasta, rice, and grain give you all the nutrients your body needs. Cutting out all of those preservatives really releases your taste buds to a whole new world. Food in a plant-based diet is filled with fiber and water, which are 2 things that really make you feel full. So eating a plant-based diet actually has more potential to fill you up than the same serving size of a dish with meat. Tomatoes, asparagus, cooked celery, soybeans, mushrooms, soy sauce, Parmesan cheese, and even fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut are going to give us a really satisfying flavor called umami. Umami actually means yummy in Japanese, and it gives you a savory, earthy note. So you're going to see me use a lot of those flavors in our cooking today to really satisfy that meat tooth that all of us Americans have. Also, by adding different spices to your meals and trying some ethnic dishes is a great way to boost flavor and spice up your plant-based eating routine. So you're going to see me use some spices like turmeric in our cooking today and some nutritional yeast as well. Now, spices not only add great flavor, but they also add awesome vitamins and minerals and antioxidants to our meals too. For example, cilantro adds fiber and iron. Thyme adds vitamin C and A. Sage has anti-inflammatory and antioxidants. Mint helps with digestion. So it's not just about the flavor with the spices that we're adding, but it also adds those vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that our bodies crave. So if you're veggie curious and you want to try out a plant-based meal, I recommend starting with a Meatless Monday, where you really focus on one meal to try once a week and really see if you're able to incorporate that more into your everyday life. It's a really simple way to start your journey with this lifestyle. The first recipe that I'm going to show you today is actually the first recipe that my family and I tried when we were starting to move more towards a plant-based lifestyle. And I will say we are not plant-based eaters, and we're probably only about 50% of the time a plant-based eating family, but it's way more than we used to be, and it really helps our body, it helps our taste buds, and it helps the environment as well. The first dish that we used when we first started exploring plant-based was mushroom rigatoni. And mushroom rigatoni really gives you that flavor of a bolognese sauce without any meat. Now, if you are not so keen on mushrooms, what I did first is actually cut the amount of mushrooms in the recipe in half, and I was able to add the other half of meat. And every time I made it, I used less and less meat until we got to a completely mushroom base. So we're going to show you this really hearty mushroom rigatoni. My family now actually prefers mushroom rigatoni over a bolognese rigatoni. So let's dig into this recipe. The first thing that we need to do is we need to preheat a pan with some olive oil because we have some onions and garlic to saute. Remember, those umami flavors, onion and garlic, and then a nice fat like an olive oil that's gonna help in our meal as well. So I'm gonna preheat our pan and we're gonna add our onions and garlic very shortly to it after it's preheated, and we're gonna get those working. Then we're gonna come back and talk about mushrooms, which is another umami flavor. So heading over to our pan with a lid, It does need to simmer, so we do want to make sure that we have a lid with our pan. I'm going to turn it up pretty high, and I'm going to grab some olive oil here and give it a good swirl of the pan. Not only does olive oil help in the cooking process by actually not allowing the onions and the garlic to stick to the pan, but it adds a lot of great flavor as well. So we're gonna let this preheat, and while it's preheating, I'm gonna grab my garlic press and show you just how to press some garlic into this. I prefer that over slicing because it really distributes well in the meal. Plus, it releases a lot more flavors than sliced garlic. 10 times more. Think about it. You're pressing the garlic. You're pressing out all those oils. You're going to get a great flavor in your mushroom rigatoni. So let me just grab my garlic press. Forgot the name of it there for a second. And we're just actually going to press it right into this small bowl here with the rest of my ingredients. I'm going to take my whole clove of garlic and I'm going to press it out. And oh my goodness, look at that amazing pressed garlic that is coming out the bottom. I do need a knife for this section as well, so I can actually scrape all that garlic into where it needs to be. Open it up, and we still have the peel inside, which I love because I don't have to touch it with my fingers. I can just scoop it right out with my knife tip. And then I'm going to press one more. This is a total of 4 cloves of garlic for a very, very hearty meal. Our oil is starting to simmer a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and add our onions and garlic right to our pan. And move those around and help those sweat out a little bit and cook down. And while this is simmering and cooking in our olive oil, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the mushrooms that are going to go in. That's going to act like our meat sauce. Make sure to turn down your heat a little bit too. You don't want to burn those onions and garlic in here. Okay. So for mushrooms, I have most of our mushrooms already processed, but I did save one of our mushrooms. And this is a dirty little mushroom. We need to actually wipe it clean. When you are actually using mushrooms in your cooking, you don't want to soak them and you don't want to put them under running water. The way to actually clean them is with a damp paper towel or kitchen towel. You're just going to use a damp towel and you're going to wipe all that residual dirt off. Mushrooms are filled with moisture and they are just going to soak up any moisture. So you don't want to soak them. You don't want to put them under that running water. You just want to actually take off some of that residual dirt from your mushroom. And now you have a nice, clean button mushroom for our mushroom rigatoni. Now the mushrooms, what I did is I actually halved and quartered them and I added them to a food processor. And the food processor allowed me to really get them down to a fine grind where then it looked like ground beef. Now, if you have some mad knife skills, you can absolutely use your knife to do this as well, but the food processor helps so much with processing these mushrooms. It goes much quicker and we get that meat consistency that we want. So not only is it going to feel like the texture of meat, but it's also going to taste like it because like I said before, that earthy flavor, that umami flavor, is found in these mushrooms. We're going to put these in our pan now that our onions and our garlic are really starting to cook down. And everything, and you're going to see as these are cooking, there is a lot of moisture in these mushrooms and it's going to get full of water before it dissolves. I don't know about you, but to me this already looks like meat. Pre-cooked ground meat that I just threw right in here. Remember, my heat is turned down slightly. We don't want to try to cook this so fast that we lose some of those nice earthy flavors. If you like your mushrooms a little bit bigger, you can absolutely cut them to be a little bit bigger as well and process them a little bit bigger as well. But I like mine nice and fine. That's how my family likes them. That's how we're going to end up with them. So we're going to add some tomatoes, which is again umami flavor. We're going to add some soy sauce, some red wine, a little bit of water, and rigatoni. You can really do any pasta that you want. I prefer rigatoni because of the holes in the middle. You kind of get all that bolognese sauce through the noodles. They're really, really yummy. And of course, a little bit of Italian seasoning. Then this cooks undisturbed and it'll soak up all of that water and the moisture from the tomatoes, and it'll be a nice thick pasta that you can serve with a little bit of Parmesan cheese if you don't want to go vegan, or a little bit of nutritional yeast sprinkled on top as well, which also gives you a Parmesan flavor if you are looking to go the vegan route. Let's let this simmer for a few minutes and we'll move on to another quick and easy lunch recipe that I absolutely love and make a lot for myself. So one of my very, very favorite recipes to make for myself, and my daughter loves these too, and I even pack it for school for her, is actually a quinoa bowl. And you can use any kind of grain that you want. You can use rice or couscous. I love quinoa though. Quinoa is a really great grain. It's actually a seed, which is so crazy. It's a little tiny little seed. And when you cook it, it flours open. Okay, so you're gonna cook it just like you do with rice or couscous. You're gonna cook it in water and usually about 1-to-2 ratio. So like 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. And as it cooks, it's gonna flour open. So instead of these little tiny little seeds, you're gonna end up with something that is grain-like. I'm gonna grab that out of the fridge. I already have my grain bowl started. And you're gonna end up with floured pieces that look like grain and act like grain. Now, quinoa is a great health source for plant-based diets because it has tons of fiber. It actually has twice as much fiber as most grains. Men need about 30 to 38 grams of fiber per day, and women need about 25 grams of fiber per day. So this is gonna really help you get there. Fiber is one of the things that Americans lack the most. It's also gluten-free. Being gluten-free myself, I love quinoa because it's filling and it gives me the feeling of eating pasta, which I miss some days. It's also very high in proteins and amino acids. Your body can't produce all that it needs with amino acids. So the problem is that many of us turn to the meats for those amino acids. And a lot of plant foods are deficient in those amino acids. Not quinoa. Quinoa is filled with amino acids and all of the essential amino acids. It also has a low glycemic index. For a carb, it does not raise your blood sugar levels quickly. It has minerals like iron and magnesium. It's high in antioxidants, and it may help you lose weight. Since it's high in protein and fiber, it will help you eat fewer calories overall. So quinoa is a great base for something like a quinoa bowl or a burrito bowl. We're gonna turn this into a burrito bowl, but you can turn it into any kind of flavor that you want. So I have a cup of cooked quinoa. We're gonna move our mushroom out of there. And to this, all we're gonna add are some fresh ingredients to help us build out something that is gonna be satisfying and fulfilling without necessarily all of the meat and dairy components. So I'm gonna add some drained and rinsed black beans. Black beans being high in fiber. A little bit of corn. Now corn is pretty high in sugar, so I don't add a lot, but I do like the crunch of the corn. We're also going to add a little bit of cucumbers and tomatoes. So you can see we're building out this beautiful salad on top of our quinoa to create this beautiful bowl. I'm also going to cut up really quickly an avocado. I'm going to grab my knife. To cut an avocado, you're going to take it and you're going to cut around the outside of it, all the way around. Twist it open. Now, I'm only going to use half of this. A serving size of an avocado is half an avocado. So I'm going to use the other half for when I need it tomorrow for my grain bowl. So we're going to do just this half. This half we're going to leave in the fridge. You always want to leave the side with the pit in it because it prevents it from turning brown. So this one will be put aside for tomorrow. This one, I'm actually going to dice it right in its skin. If you're uncomfortable with holding it like this and dicing it in its skin, you can always take a spoon, scoop it out, and cut it on a cutting board instead. We're gonna cut that. And then what I'm gonna do, just like a mango, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna turn it inside out and push all those avocado pieces out of there. So we have nice avocado on there. You can also add salsa to this. You can add some lettuce if you want to, green onions. I'm gonna add one of my favorite spices, actually, which is called a chili lime spice. And it's gonna go right on top. And that quinoa is great because it takes on whatever flavor it's put with. So let me grab from my spice cabinet a little bit of that chili lime. And I love the chili lime because it gives the citrus of the lime, but then also that really spicy chili powder without adding a ton of extra calories or sodium to it. So our beautiful, easy lunch recipe that's all plant-based, and it's gonna be so satisfying. Way more than if you feel like you need to add the chicken or ground beef to this. If you want, if you like even a little bit more crunch, you can even add a little bit of crushed tortilla chips on top. That sounds so yummy, and I might have to do that later when it's lunchtime. Easy, plant-based lunch recipe. Now that this is done, let's go check on our mushroom rigatoni to add some of our other ingredients and get that simmering. Okay, so our mushrooms, the water is all cooked out of them, and they're not just simmering, they're actually sauteing in our pan now. And they're really cooked down. So it's crazy, just like spinach or kale, they really cook down to a point where you're like, wow, where did all my food go? But I promise you, with the depth of this, it's gonna be all throughout your whole rigatoni meal. I'm gonna turn down the heat just a smidgen because we are gonna be at a simmer with this. We're gonna add 2 cans of a diced tomato. Don't drain them. That's gonna help facilitate not only the flavors in here, but also help cook our pasta. We're gonna add a little bit of red wine, which will cook down. That will add such a nice depth of flavor. So about 1/4 to 1/2 cup, whatever your preference is. Now this is the funny part with this recipe, soy sauce. But that soy sauce is gonna truly give it that beef flavor. So we're gonna add a couple splashes of soy sauce to help us transition from a regular bolognese to a meatless bolognese. And then to this as well, because our pasta is gonna need a little bit of extra cooking liquid, we are gonna add about 2 cups of water. And then our pasta. And now we aren't gonna use the whole box of pasta. We're gonna only use about half the box of pasta. And I know that might not sound like a lot, but with all of the other flavors and ingredients in here, you're really not gonna need to eat as much pasta as you think you're gonna need. Okay, so we're gonna do about a half a box there. Again, the rigatoni is wonderful with the holes in it because then all of the bolognese flavors get inside and out. Oop, and a little bit of Italian seasoning, obviously. Stir that all together, and we're gonna bring this to a simmer. And this is gonna simmer for about 20 minutes. And when we take the lid back off, the pasta is gonna be puffed up. A lot of that water is gonna be gone, and we're gonna end up with a beautiful mushroom rigatoni. Okay, so I'm actually gonna just switch pans here because we're gonna switch focus to a breakfast recipe, and we're gonna make a breakfast scramble. What, Kristen, I thought you said we were doing plant-based. Yes, we are, and you're gonna be so surprised at the ingredients we're gonna be using. So let me get my pot switched around so that this can simmer and we can bring this one to the forefront. All right. So we're gonna look at a breakfast scramble today. And the breakfast scramble is gonna include a couple of really key ingredients that are gonna help us think that it is scrambled eggs, okay? As close as we can get anyway. So we're gonna be doing a veggie-based breakfast scramble, and our eggs are actually going to be cauliflower. right? We can turn cauliflower into anything. We turned it into pizza crust. We turned it into rice. Today, we're going to turn it into scrambled eggs. But the flavors that we're going to add to it are really going to help really enhance and make it feel satisfying like you're eating a breakfast scramble. So to begin with, I already cut up some veggies for us that we're going to have in our recipe. I have a red onion. I have a red bell pepper. You can include any color you want. Red bell peppers are just a little sweeter, which I prefer. I have some more mushrooms. The mushrooms are gonna, again, bring that umami flavor to it. And I mean, a breakfast scramble has all these wonderful veggies in it. And then we're gonna do some cauliflower. And again, I already prepped our cauliflower because who needs to watch me cut up florets of cauliflower? But I left them the size of about bites of scrambled egg, okay? So they are little mini florets, but this is about what a scrambled egg bite would look like, which is why I left them that way. The spices that we're gonna use are really gonna turn this into to look like and taste like a scrambled egg meal. We're gonna be using our main ingredient, which is turmeric. Turmeric has tons of benefits and actually comes from the actual chemical that's in turmeric called curcumin. That one I always have a hard time with that R, but I got it out that time. Turmeric has so many medicinal properties in it because of its main ingredient. That curcumin is a powerful antioxidant and strong anti-inflammatory. It even matches the effectiveness of some anti-inflammatory drugs. Wow. You probably have heard a lot of the trends of turmeric, like turmeric lattes and turmeric pills and different uses of turmeric in cooking. And turmeric is wonderful. However, you're not going to get all of the benefits of turmeric in cooking necessarily because you do need a lot of it to get those benefits. So if that's something that you're interested in, I highly recommend that you talk to your doctor about adding a turmeric supplement to your diet. Now, turmeric is yellow. It's bright yellow, which is going to make this look like scrambled eggs. It is very powerful flavor though, so make sure. The first time I made this, I added way too much and it was actually hard to eat. So just start with less in it to begin with and add more if your taste buds allow. So we're gonna take this and just like a scrambled egg scramble, a breakfast scramble, we're gonna cook down some of these veggies first in our pan with some olive oil. Then we're gonna add our cauliflower with a little bit of water and let that all saute down with our spices. Our spices, like I said, the main ingredient is our turmeric, then our cayenne pepper, some garlic, and we're gonna add again some soy sauce to bring through that umami flavor. And last, we're gonna sprinkle it with a little bit of nutritional yeast, which gives a really nice salty Parmesan flavor to this breakfast scramble. So I'm gonna bring these back to my other pan, get that nice and warm with some olive oil, and begin sauteing these down. All right, we'll get this pan on, and it already is a little bit warm. That burner is still a little bit warm from our mushroom rigatoni. We'll get some olive oil in the pan. I'm not so worried about getting this screaming hot right away. We're gonna add our veggies and let these start to cook down. Look at all of this fiber that you're getting right in your morning scramble. The fiber from the peppers, the fiber from the mushrooms. You're gonna feel so satisfied eating these veggies. Give that a little stir. I am gonna add a little bit of salt to this to help this cook down a little quicker. That helps draw the moisture out of the vegetables. And we're gonna give that a stir and let that simmer. So while these veggies are cooking down, let's look a little bit more at a couple more parts of plant-based eating. Now, I told you we're gonna talk about nutritional yeast and we're actually gonna use it in our cooking. So nutritional yeast is a flake. Okay, it kind of looks like fish food, but the benefit of it, it's actually grown specifically to be used as a food product. It's not a live product like instant yeast. It's used in cooking. It has a cheesy, nutty, and savory flavor. It can be found in the spice section or the baking aisle by other gluten-free foods. This isn't hard to find. This is often found in regular grocery stores now. It's fat-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, and vegan. I use this actually when I make homemade mac and cheese that's a vegan mac and cheese with a nut base, and I use nutritional yeast in it as well. It's also a great source of protein, B vitamins, antioxidants, and trace minerals. Vitamin B12 is only found in animal products, so consuming nutritional yeast on a plant-based diet helps you to avoid becoming deficient. So you can use this. We're going to be using this to sprinkle it over our breakfast scramble. Some other substitutions you can use if you're looking to go plant-based. For dairy-free options, you can use almond, cashew, soy, hemp, oat, rice, pea protein in your cooking. Those are all usually found in pretty standard recipes or are pretty easy substitutions as well. As far as cheese brands, if you feel like you absolutely have to have cheese, I would go with Treeline, Follow Your Heart, Kite Hill, or Go Veggie as a cheese brand. As far as butters and oils, you can always use veggie broth. Bananas are a great substitute as well. Applesauce is a great substitution. Prune or pumpkin puree and nut butter, all great butter and oil substitutions. As far as eggs, because that's a lot what people are trying not only to reduce their cholesterol or fat intake, but also in a plant-based diet, you can use applesauce, bananas, silken tofu, chickpea flour, and cornstarch, or aquafaba. Aquafaba is an interesting one. It's actually the juice, the clear liquid that's in a can of beans. So if you were to buy like chickpeas or cannellini beans or white kidney beans, that liquid that those beans are in is aquafaba, and you can mix that up for an egg substitute. As far as meat and fish, if you feel like you need kind of a processed replacement to get you started with it, you can absolutely do that. I know that they sell a lot of different vegan crumbles or vegan versions of different foods, but if you want to move past that less processed version of meat replacements, you can go with tofu, tempeh, or beans, okay? Now that our veggies looks like they're simmering, it looks like they're really starting to cook down, we're gonna go ahead and add our cauliflower, and we're gonna add a little bit of water so that these start to get nice and tender. So I'm gonna bring my cutting board over. Wow, this looks so good. I'm so glad I added that little bit of salt to help break down those veggies a little quicker. And we're gonna add our cauliflower pieces. Again, you want them the size of like a scrambled egg bite. And I'm gonna get just a little measure of water just to help that cauliflower a little bit. About a quarter cup, couple tablespoons. And that's just gonna help steam that down a little bit more. This in itself too, you can always change up the spices. This would be a great side dish or to put over rice or a different grain as well. It doesn't have to be turned into a breakfast scramble. You can definitely turn it into something else as well. I could see this almost too as something to eat with fajitas. Like you could make this into a cauliflower taco. Let's put our lid on here so we're able to let that steam down a little bit. Our rigatoni is simmering and looks amazing. We're not going to add the spices until the very end. And like I said, what the recipe calls for is about 1.5 teaspoons of turmeric. It's a powerful flavor. So if it's something you want to ease into, feel free to add a little bit at a time. But the turmeric does add that yellow color, which makes it look like a scrambled egg. So don't completely omit it because that's going to help the coloring of it as well too. Trick your brain a little bit. All right, our breakfast scramble is nice and cooked down. Our veggies are steamed out. Our cauliflower is nice and tender, but not so tender that it's gonna melt in our mouth. We really wanna still have a little bit of a bite to it. We're gonna add all of our spices now. Like I said, it's a pretty basic mix, except we have that turmeric in there. So we're gonna sprinkle it over the top. Salt, pepper, turmeric, a little bit of garlic. We're gonna give this a stir. and let that cauliflower take on that yellow color, and you're gonna see right before your eyes that all of a sudden we have cauliflower scrambled eggs. And it's gonna be satisfying and hearty and probably more filling and give you more energy and fuel for your day than as if this was loaded with eggs and sausage and bacon and cheese. Let's serve this up on a plate and sprinkle it with a little bit of that nutritional yeast so you can really see what this looks like. And with it being so full of veggies, you could practically eat all of this for breakfast. Wow. Look, I just have a little bit of leftovers. I'm gonna add a couple more pieces of the cauliflower just for good measure. Move my leftovers over here and sprinkle it with a little of that nutritional yeast to really give it that cheesy, salty flavor. Wow, that looks so good. So breakfast, lunch, let's check on our dinner. Mushroom rigatoni. I think it's about done. Now I will say mushroom rigatoni is by far my favorite if you give it time to sit a little bit after it's done cooking. Straight out of the pan is very good, but letting it sit and continue to absorb those flavors and spices and really puff up that pasta is just the perfect way to eat it. So let's grab that pot as well and bring it over and serve some of that up. Wow. And you can see that if this sat a little bit longer, it would just be like perfectly dense pasta. It already is pretty amazing though, I can tell you that. And because of those mushrooms and tomatoes in here, I'm gonna grab another oven mitt to grab the other side. It's a pretty heavy pan. You're not gonna need as much pasta to feel satisfied when you eat this. So we'll serve some of this up. This easily feeds my family of 4, and there's usually leftovers for someone the next day. Because of those fiber-filled mushrooms, those onions, the tomatoes, a little bit of nutritional yeast on top, just like a Parmesan cheese. And now we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner all plant-based. No dairy, no meat products, no animal products. All great fuel for your body, and you're getting all of the vitamins and minerals, plus some that you'd probably get on any regular day. Thanks again for joining us for this Do Good, Feel Good challenge today with plant-based eating. I hope it broadens your palate and allows you to try something with some plant-based options. Again, my name is Kristyn Slick with Mealtime Memories, a Classroom Kitchen. Can't wait to see you again.